Welcome to another episode of Q&A with Kpaceguy. You have questions and I have answers. Let's get right into it. We have Edwin Abule 324. I apologize in advance if I mess up these names. We're going to get through it. He asked, do you believe in expensive cables? I'm planning to replace my old Monster Cable Z2 series that I bought back in the 90s. It still gives me a good sound on my KEF R11 Metas. However, I did try a cheaper cable called World's Best Cable By-Wire Ultimate Series 9G, and it surprised me how good it sounded. The only thing I noticed is the highs lost a bit of the detail, but the mid sounded smoother. It's interesting. I don't buy expensive cables, and I'm talking when it comes to speaker wire, since that's what we're talking about here. I don't spend more than, if I buy a 6-foot cable of a speaker wire, I don't spend more than $40 or $50. I don't believe in spending much more than that, but I do believe in the thickness of it. I think that's going to be the difference, not necessarily the brand of wire, but the type of wire. So I only buy OFC wire. That's oxygen-free copper, and that has the best transfer of electricity, which is what sound is. It's electricity going from your receiver to your speakers to generate sound. The thicker you get, the longer the run can be. The OFC part of it, oxygen-free copper, doesn't have as much loss along a long string, a long travel. The other option is copper-clad CCA wire, I believe, and that has a significant loss in audio quality across long runs compared to OFC wiring. So I think the kind of wire you buy is important, not necessarily the money spent on it. So I spend $40, $50 on 12 gauge wire. I always go 12, at least 12 gauge wire to my entire system, and that I always make sure they're oxygen free copper as well. That may be the difference in what you heard. It's interesting you said the highs kind of fell off, but the mids played smooth. I wonder if that's more because you were looking for it, because you bought new cables and you were looking for it, or maybe not, or maybe since the highs were less pronounced, it made the mid-range feel like it was more present. It's a lot that could be different, but I do believe that expensive cables do make a difference. I just think that it's so minute that it's a waste of money. That is my personal opinion. We have LOL Kinnan for the next question. He says, I had an Epson 4010 for about 4 years now, and it's really showing its age in terms of formats and what it can play. Not to mention the atrocious contrast levels. I want a projector that'll be a proper upgrade in terms of contrast levels and format capability, that Dolby Vision HDR10 Plus. Any recommendations? UST is not an option. No ultra short throw. Honestly, everybody's buying Valerian, which I haven't personally reviewed, but I've watched so many reviews and seen their own, productivity about it, and it looks fantastic. It has all the latest formats. Nowadays, any newer projector you buy is going to have at least HDR10, HDR10 Plus. Not everything does Dolby Vision, but I've learned through my experience, regardless of if it's been long throw projector or short throw projector, that the best contrast comes from the screen. Yes, the projector makes a huge difference as well, but the quality of screen makes arguably even more difference. So for me, I only buy gray screens because yes, you lose a little bit of vividness in your colors, a little bit, depending on how bright your projector is, but you gain so much contrast. I mean, imagine watching a screen on a white screen, right? And then the image goes black. All you see is the white screen. But on a gray screen, it's closer to black, obviously. It's much closer to black than white is. So when that image goes dark, you see a gray screen, not a white screen. So the contrast is just that much better because of the color of the screen. So I only buy gray screens for contrast. I think most projectors get pretty bright nowadays that you're going to get vivid colors and bright colors and whatever, regardless of what screen you're going to go, because projectors just get so bright now. But contrast is still a difficult thing for projectors to get correct. So if you get a gray screen, it really aids in that projector. Now, I do recommend Valerian just because it seems to be a very good projector. Like I said, I haven't tested it myself, but I've watched a lot, and just in case I do review it. But it also has all the HDR formats that you were mentioning, Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR10 Plus, Hybrid Log Gamma. It's all there. It's long throw, and it's not as expensive as the rest of the competition. So I believe it's probably a really good bang for your buck. Again, you can go with anything JVC is fantastic. I'm missing Sony is fantastic. It really just depends your budget. I don't know your budget, but those brands usually make really good projectors for long throw, for short throw, for ultra short throw, whatever. So that's what I recommend for you. But make sure your screen, keep your screen in mind too, because that could help even the projector that you have. All right, I have Matt 07497. He asked me, are you selling your AVM 70, your Anthem AVM 70? No. Unless you're gonna buy it, then yeah, money talks. I'll give it to you. I don't know what I replace it with. I'm pretty much at my in-game processor at the moment because I don't have the money to buy a Trinov, and I don't have a reason for a Trinov because my room's not big enough. Maybe in my future home, when we have 4 bedrooms, a basement, 3-car garage, you know, wishful thinking, we're gonna have a Trinov in there, hopefully. But right now, the Anthem does more than necessary for me. I would like to have an AVM 90 because I do have 4 subs. I would like to see what the Anthem can do with 4 subs on their own. And I also want the better DAC, right? So I want the best of the best. But I've been very happy with the AVM 70. Now, if somebody offered me a crazy price, or maybe if you want to switch me your AVM 90 for my AVM 70, I'll do that too. But no, I'm going to keep it until the foreseeable future because it's giving me no problems. So forgive me for mispronouncing your name. I know I'm going to, but we have John Wah. He asks, what are some recommendations for not crazy expensive in-wall speakers? I've been seeing a lot of Focal going around, and I like Focal as a brand. They are really good sounding speakers, and I even had them in my car audio for a while. So I recommend them. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, like truly don't, do not sleep on OSD Audio in their Black series. They have a lot of different in-wall speakers, not only speakers, but also in-wall subs. And they're very inexpensive. I saw, I think, a 10-inch subwoofer or 8-inch subwoofer, like 300, 400 watts that goes right in the wall. And then you have a grill that's paintable, or you can change the color of the grill. And I'm actually testing right now some of their in-wall speakers in my home theater now. One of their smaller versions. They have like a dual 6.5s, or you can get 4 6.5s or something crazy. I can't remember. But OSD actually has some really good products that go under the radar because they don't advertise a lot for them, which is why I'm reviewing them, to get you guys to know. So stay tuned to that review because you may like the review for these in-walls. But Focal is a great in-wall brand. If I remember, SVS has some in-wall subs. So if you're planning on going in-wall subs as well, SVS has some, and again, OSD as well. So check those brands out. But I think OSD will give you the best bang for your buck. I know price is something you're really paying attention to. So check out OSD. So BoxCurp asked me, are there any more subscriber showcases in the future? It's been a long time since we've done a subscriber showcase, maybe a year, and we only do 2 a year. And we're probably due. If you don't know what subscriber showcase is, it's where I take your submissions of your home theater, whether it's a video or a bunch of photos, and I showcase your home theater right here on the channel. It's time to do that. I may do that. If we hit 45,000 subscribers, I may do it again. So I do plan to bring it back. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to see your home theater. And a lot of you guys have some really cool ideas, really cool home theaters, really unique setups, and I want the world to be able to see that. So I'll definitely bring back Subscriber Showcase in the future. Let's reach 45,000 subscribers and I'll do it. How about that? So Christian Boosted says, hello, is there a chance you can review the Walmart On 5.1.2 soundbar? And I've already talked to him in the comment section about this, but I did already review that soundbar. And I still use that soundbar, and I still have the older generation soundbar too. If you guys haven't seen my review of the On 5.1.2 soundbar from Walmart, it's only purchased in Walmart. It's their brand, right? It's Walmart's brand. It is the best soundbar under $200. You get a huge, like 40-inch soundbar, you get satellite speakers in the back, and you get a sub that actually sounds more like a 10 or a 12 than an 8 or a 6.5, whatever it is. I think it's an 8-inch sub. But it really fills the room, and it gets pretty low, like 30 hertz or something like that. Now, I know some people have some issues with that sub because placement is difficult, but if you put it in the right spot, you get a really good sound. The surround sound speakers, however, are a little bit low, I've noticed, but they do their job. They're not supposed to be loud. They're just supposed to fill in the rest of the room. They do pretty good, and I've been using that soundbar since it came out. It is a really good soundbar, and it beats everything in the price point. From Vizio, from Samsung, from Sony, any other Walmart brand that's there, LG, it'll skip all of those and get the soundbar, the On Blast soundbar 5.1.2. It's a full Dolby Atmos. Actually, I think it's 5.4 almost. No, it's 5.1.2, but it fills your room with really good sound. It gets very loud. It's very small, so it hides away under your television. It doesn't block the screen if you have your television on feet. So it's a really good soundbar. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And if you haven't seen my review of it, go check it out. I'll leave it down below. All right, Corey Coleman, 476. Or actually, I missed the number, 4276. He asks, what do you think about the Emotiva Bass X MR1 receiver? I'm looking at that or the Onkyo RZ70. So I know that the RZ70 has gotten a lot of really good reviews. I haven't actually put one in my home. I have had Onkyo in the past, and I like them. They actually are very good, and the newer receivers are very good as well. But I haven't heard the MR1, but I've done my research on it before. Emotiva is interesting because when I think of them, I think of amplifiers first. Kind of like when you think of SVS, you think of subwoofers first and then speakers second. When I think of Emotiva, I think of amplifiers first and then everything else second. Their subs, their speakers, or whatever. But buying a receiver from Emotiva is interesting because since they are a more amplifier-focused company, their receivers are actually really cool. The MR1 is a little misleading because if you run all 11 channels on there, it's a 13.2, but 11 channels have power. If you run all 11 channels, you're only getting 100 watts per channel, which is fine for most people in most spaces and most speakers. However, if you run less channels, you get more power. So you can get up to 290 watts, I think at 4 ohms with one channel driven, maybe 260 with 2 channels. I think you're in the low 200s, upper 100s with like 5 channels. So depending on the number of channels you run, you can actually have a receiver that's more powerful than some of their amplifiers, which is interesting. So Emotiva is a tough one. I know that it'll sound good because I've had Emotiva products in my home theater in the past, so I don't have an issue with how they'll sound. But my issue is I've never seen or have used their room calibration. I've heard nothing about it, and some of the screenshots that I saw, it doesn't look very intuitive. So it may be confusing to use, or maybe it's not. I don't know. If you just hit one button and it does it all for you, you may not care. But I haven't heard one before. It is worth trying. It's about $2,000, and that puts it in a price point with like the Yamaha Avantage. It puts it in the lineup with some of the Marantz stuff, the Din stuff, like I said, the Onkyo. Honestly, I would probably try. I think the Emotiva is, especially if it has a return period, I would go for the Emotiva and give it a shot because I believe it's probably an underrated receiver. It has its quirks, some things like that, but it supports everything. It only has HDMI 2.0, which is fine. But I think it's worth trying out if they have a return period because you may find yourself really liking it, but if not, fall back to the Onkyo. I expect the Emotiva to sound better than the Onkyo, but I don't know for sure. But the power rating, and I don't know how many speakers you plan to run, but I think the Emotiva might be a hidden gem. I just don't know about it yet. All right, guys, thank you so much for all of the questions. We do a Q&A about every 6 months or so. I'll post on the community page for you guys to ask any questions you have, and then I'll answer them live in a video. So in the future, if you guys want to join in, take a look at my community page. I post pretty often on the YouTube community page, so make sure you're checking back on my channel, on my community page, because I'll reach out to you guys that way. I do giveaways on my community page. I sell things at really dirt cheap prices on my community page, and I give you guys a chance to talk to me like this in a video on my community page. So make sure you take a look at that pretty often because I'm always on there. Thank you for everybody who did submit a question. Have a good holiday. It's getting cold in Kentucky. There's snow everywhere. I'm freezing my butt off, but make sure you're safe out there if you're traveling for the holidays. We'll see you in the next video. Kpaceguy out. Peace.